Hello and welcome to the 7th edition of the Clarke Park Show. It's Wednesday the 15th of January and today you'll see a different background. I'm not in the park today. I'm actually walking in the area of South Hampstead, so that's what you see behind me, and it depends on what side of the street I'm showing you here. It's a different view really of what some of the houses look like. If I turn it around the other way, here it looks like this, which is quite pleasant, and there pretty mundane, I would say. So yeah, hopefully we see more of the better as I move along. So anyway, I did actually do a recording yesterday, but the weather conditions, it really wasn't a nice day. It was wet, it was extremely windy. I did have a lot to say, but the sound was just so bad when you're in a park and it's very windy and I play it back. It's really different to hear with the wind bustling past, and it really interferes with the sound quite a bit, so I've got to be more mindful of that in future. So what I'm going to do today is pick up on some of the things that I was saying yesterday and then to expand on that a little with more knowledge that's come into my mind since. And there are two themes. One is a continuation of the theme I've been talking about, is veganism, vegetarianism, because this month of January is known as Veganuary. So there is a lot that's coming out about it in the media, whether it's the print media, online, or on TV programs. And for me, it is a fascinating subject when I go through my own debate and dilemma about my diet and to see if I'm in the right place or if I need to make changes. And the other thing that links in with this that I want to touch upon is about dogma and pragmatism, and really whether we are open to arguments, open to seeing other perspectives and views, and adapting or making some changes based on new information that we hear and see, or there are others who become so entrenched in their beliefs, they're so fixated that they are 100% in the right with their belief that they will never listen, or whatever is put their way, visually or orally, it really falls on deaf ears because nothing will ever change their point of view or perspective. And I want to touch upon that as well. So, coming back to the vegan issue. So, when I was talking about this article I read about different types of veganism, I only touched upon two of them, which was the vegan evangelist, who is evangelical about being a vegan, and then there was the fleegan or flexitarian, which I saw myself as, and then the other two that I missed is seagan, and of course the clue is in that word sea, which means you eat fish and vegetables but not dairy. And the final one is being a pagan. That's an interesting word, isn't it? Pagan. And that's a mix of the P, and I'm not quite sure of the word. I think it's something like poliantry or something like that. And that part is the eating meat. But what it really means is you're 75% vegan, and the 25% is where you eat meat that's, I suppose, ethical or organical. So locally produced farms in a natural environment, natural food, no factory farming, force feeding or chemicals put into the animals or anything like that. And I presume it also means, whoops, sorry, I can see it's gone very dark that side. And the other part, of course, is whether when their life comes to an end, whether that's done in a humane way. So yeah, I can see there's something going for that as well. So this is the debate I'm going through for 2020 about whether I should adapt and modify the vegan diet I'm on, because yes, I had blood tests done recently and I did have a lack of so I'm just going to pause it for a minute. Hi, so yeah, sorry about the pause. I was coming onto a main road and I knew the traffic would interfere with the sound, and also I had to make sure I knew exactly where I was and needed to focus. So back to what I was saying, yes, so about the veganism, and with my blood tests, a deficiency of B12, vitamin D, and something else as well that I know is essential for us as well. So that's what's causing me to have a bit of a rethink. And another fascinating thing I saw on a program last night, which was about these people who are vegans, and at different levels really of trying to use gentle persuasion to convert people. And another term I saw was vegan activism. So it's not just the vegan evangelists, but vegan activists, and they're in a different category altogether. Quite radical. They like to use shock tactics, can be quite aggressive in their campaigns, and the problem there is they alienate a lot of people as well, and especially the farmers. So I've never really believed in any form of extremism of any kind. I think reasonable persuasion and argument is always a much better way. But anyway, one thing that came out from so that was from that program, and there were bodybuilders, that's right, and that was fascinating, where there was a guy who was incredible physique, a bodybuilder who'd become a vegan, and he was trying to persuade other bodybuilders who eat an incredible amount of meat. There's one guy who came second in his competition, and he eats 34 chicken breasts a week. And he was one of them that the vegan bodybuilder was trying to persuade or convert into becoming a vegan, or at least trying it out for maybe a week or a few days. And he would not be converted at all. But amazingly, two other bodybuilders, they were willing. They said, okay, yeah, we give it a go. We give it a try for a few days and see how it goes. And that's how I started, where it was originally a 10-day try it and see how you go, and I chose to extend it, but I appreciate many others may give up after that trial period. They also tried it on some young people, some young guys, and again a mixed reaction. There were a few thought, no way will I ever change from my meat diet, but there were some that said, okay, we're willing to give it a go. I think one said no way for a week, but they agreed to a day. So again, when you work on argument and persuasion, we also have to accept small steps, and always take any small step of progress that you can get, rather than always only going for that big picture of all or nothing, because quite often you do end up with nothing. So when I'm talking about this big topic of veganism, it touches upon many other wider and bigger picture issues as well. Before I move on to that, a final point on the vegan topic is I saw another food program about vegan foods, because remember, this is Veganuary. And what was so fascinating, mushrooms. They were looking at sources of B12 and how much you'd have to eat. And I thought salmon would be great, but really you have to eat a huge amount of salmon, very costly, to get your required amount of B12 in a day. Eggs are a good source of B12, but the best source, most amazingly, is mushrooms. Now mushrooms, when they're picked, have no B12, not B12, correction. Mushrooms are an amazing source of vitamin D, not B12, they're an amazing source of vitamin D, but when they're picked, they have no vitamin D in them at all. And the magic is, when they go into the factory, the processing factory, they're put under an ultraviolet ray sunlight, almost like when we go on a sunbed. And what it does, it causes a chemical reaction with the mushrooms. There's something the mushroom has inside where it causes a chemical reaction, and then it creates a really high level of vitamin D. And they were showing that you could get all that you need in a day for just 80p, which was quite incredible. The only problem for me is I hate mushrooms. I was thinking of a few foods that I just won't touch and can never eat, and thank you. And mushrooms is always a no-no for me, so I won't be getting my vitamin D there. But me going out for these walks on a regular basis, now you've probably seen the weather is always mixed. It's mixed between being pleasantly cool or mild, sometimes very cold when you see me with a woolly hat, quite often grim, sometimes it's quite wet and rainy. But there are days like today, and you've seen other days, probably don't see it so well here, where there's a lot of sunlight. It's a beautiful sunny day, so hopefully the fresh air and the sunlight means I'm getting some vitamin D in that way, but I know that I can improve it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to lead on for the topic, and I'm sorry, yes, I can see I've gone over 10 minutes, maybe I'll be another minute or two, but it's worth saying, is this thing about, are we open to new knowledge, new ideas, persuasion against what we believe, adapting our beliefs and our ideas, or are we so entrenched in a particular point of view that there's no way we will change it? We won't listen. People can talk, but it's not going through our minds. All we want to do is just come back at that person to try and persuade them of our point of view. And there are people that are very much into everything is 100%, everything is black and white, wholly right or wholly wrong. And I think, yes, there are times, there are incidences where there are certain things where it can be 100% black and white, wholly right, wholly wrong, but more often the case in many other areas it isn't really that way, and it's really more about shades of grey and shades of opinion. And I remember I heard a debate on the radio yesterday, quite incredible. It was still about the Brexit issue, Remain, and there was a man and a woman. One was passionately Brexit, the other was passionately Remain, and they were probably quite senior in age as well by the sounds of them. But oh my God, the way they were just shouting, the presenter on the radio just let them get on with it, but they were shouting over each other. They weren't listening to each other, they were just shouting in a really bad-tempered way. They were really going for it, and they weren't listening to the other side. It was a case of, I am right and you are so wrong, and I'm going to get my point of view across, and you're the stupid one and I'm the sensible one. And it really was hi guys, alright, just doing a video recording there, it's alright, I'm not mad. Okay, alright, so sorry? No, it's okay, I'm alright. So okay, see, I'm out on the streets here, and there were some young guys there. It's a funny thing that, isn't it, because me as a mature guy, and there's some young guys, I think they're sort of college age, and they looked at me like, who is that crazy guy? Because, you know, I was saying to you about that excited bit about those two people arguing, so that was quite funny. And anyway, back to where I was, and they didn't really get anywhere. And so the point I'm making is, and the other thing I was going to say is, yes, so some people always read only one viewpoint, or they read a type of newspaper or media that's either left wing or right wing, or they have, through the algorithms, they always want to read things that just simply reinforce the view they already have and the beliefs they already have. And it concerns me, this algorithm of news. And of course now you have this other big issue of fake news as well, and people too often are willing to believe that fake news. And for example, I read a really wide range of sources, and on my phone as an app in the UK we have a right-wing paper, the Daily Telegraph, and a left-wing paper, the Guardian, and I read both. Every day I read both. I also look at the Financial Times, I look at the BBC, but I also look at global websites as well, because I think it's really important to have a rounded opinion, but also I think it's important to have our views and opinions challenged. We should always be open to challenge, to see whether there is another way rather than just reinforcement, and also to be willing to listen to other people's points of view. So I want to leave that with you as some food for thought there. Where are you in so many aspects of your beliefs and your approach to life? Are you entrenched? Are you 100% about everything you do and not willing to change, not willing to give way or listen to another way or see another way of doing things? Or are you much more malleable, adaptable? And I don't mean malleable where you know, you roll over on your back, tickle my tummy type of thing. I mean, where you're open to persuasion and other schools of thoughts and listening to what other people have to say, and you always believe that line that can come at the end in a polite, respectful way. Okay, we just have to agree to disagree. And I think that's a much more respectful way of doing things, and I'm going to leave you with that thought. I've gone over 15 minutes. I don't know whether I'll publish this video or how it will turn out, we will see. But for now, I'm going to say thank you for watching. See you again next time, and toodaloo.